Have you ever wondered how these libraries like Material UI, Tailwind CSS, etc. are built and published? Trust me, it's much more easier than you think. So let's see in this video how we're gonna build this React Toast pop-up, our own Toast library, and publish it on NPM so that users can install it using NPM install React Toast pop-up. And let me tell you, things like this are really good for your resume and can even result in getting you a job or even a freelance client. So I opened VS Code over here, and this is our Toast component that I've built using React and TypeScript. So if you remember in this video right here, we've built this component where we were using this use notification hook. We have defined all the types over here. We have written all the functionality. You don't need to understand this code if you're just here to understand how you can publish React and TypeScript. If you want to learn how to build this component, you can go and watch that video. I'll give the link in the description down below. Right, so it's a very simple use notification hook which imports this notification.tsx component. And to use this, we have to provide the possession right over here, and it gives us with the notification component and the trigger notification function, which whenever we call it, it will trigger this notification or toast. So I'll say npm run dev, and this will run our app for us. Let's see. Whenever we click on this, it will give us the toast accordingly. So if I click on warning, it will give us warning, error, and this has features like animation as well. And you can see we have mentioned this complete thing in our documentation for the component that we will be building. Let's not get ahead of ourselves right now. So this is the exact code that we will be using, and we want to do something like this. So right now we're importing it from ./hook/use notification, right? I want to import it from this library, React Toast Popup, and then we won't need this hooks and this component of both of these folders, right? We can use it whenever we like by installing npm install React Toast Popup, right? So how do we do this? Let's create a new folder over here, React Toast Popup. And inside this, we're gonna write our code related to our UI library or UI component. So first of all, what the hell is npm right here? So npm means node package manager, and it basically contains all of these components, all of these libraries. Like for example, React is also hosted on npm, Tailwind CSS, whatever libraries that you use, you may have noticed you do npm install, right? So all of them are hosted right over here. And a library is a reusable piece of software that can be easily installed and used in a JavaScript program by using, npm install. So the first thing that we would need to do inside this folder is, let's come back and see React Toast Popup, and I'll do npm init. So what this will do, it is going to initialize node package manager inside of this folder, right? Or generate a basically package.json file. So it's gonna ask the name of our package. So this name is already taken by me, right? So we have to think about a new name over here. So let's just say React Toast, or let's just say YT tutorial example, right? You can choose your name according to your package, right? So let's press enter. It's gonna ask the version. I'll just keep the version as 1.0, or you can, if you are not confident right now, if you're currently in a development state, you can probably start with something like 0.0.1 so that it's, a pre-release version basically, right? So description, you can enter some description like reusable toast library. Entry point, I'll keep index.js. Test command, nothing. Git repository, nothing for now. Keywords, nothing for now. Author, nothing. License, nothing. Okay. This looks good. Yes. Okay. Now inside of this, you can see we have this package.json file generated. Great. Now what I'll do, I'll bring in my code from over here. And the only thing that I would need is this src folder, right? I'll just copy it and paste it right over here. And inside this src, I'm not going to be needing this app.css because that code is not related to my toast component, right? So I'll just remove that. I'll remove app.jsx as well, index.css, main.jsx as well, right? So we have this hooks folder basically, which contains our use notification hook, which we are going to be using as a component or as a library basically, right? So what I'll do, I'll create a new file over here, index.ts, and it will basically import that hook. So I'll say use notification from ./hooks use notification, and I'll just say export default use notification. That's all we need to do over here, right? Let's just close this. Now, one thing that you may have noticed, even though we have package.json, right, we have not installed React. We don't know how we're gonna handle these TypeScript files, right? How we are going to bundle all of these things. So let's take care of all of these things. So first of all, I'm gonna install a few things that are obvious, right? So npm install React, yes, TypeScript, and a library called tslib. And basically this tslib will help us to generate our configuration for TypeScript, right? We're gonna be setting the compile options, how we want our TypeScript to compiled to that UI library, right? So I'll show you in just a moment. And we're gonna be saving this as a dev dependency. So I'll say save dash dev, press enter, and these are installing right now, and there we go, inside of our dev dependencies. Great. So let's take care of how we are going to be compiling our TypeScript files. So inside of this React Toast pop-up, we're going to be creating a file called tsconfig.json, and to generate that, I'll say npx tsc-init. Press enter, and you're going to see that we have tsconfig.json file generated, and this has a bunch of options over here. If you want, you can go through them, you can understand them, what each and every one does. But what I'll do, I'll just remove this whole file and I'll show you from scratch what are all the things that we are going to be needing inside of it. Now, first of all, first thing that we're going to be writing is compiler options. And as you can see over here, instructs the TypeScript compiler on how to compile the .ts files, right? So let's see what are all the options that we need. First thing is the target ES5. And this basically means that the generated JavaScript files from the TypeScript files will be ES5 version, right? Which will support like wide variety of browsers, right? Because it's more of an older version. We're gonna be using lib, and this it will be an array with DOM, iterable, and ESNext. So what are all these? So first of all, DOM basically means it supports the document object models in our browser. DOM iterable means that it will support things like arrays and objects. And ESNext includes support for newer versions of JavaScript like classes, constructors that were introduced in ES6 plus, right? So that's what we're doing over here. Anyway, let me just quickly write this out and explain you. This allow.js true option will allow the TypeScript compiler to process the JavaScript files along with the TypeScript files as well. Like if we have any JavaScript file in our project. This skip lib check options skips the library check for TypeScript types, and this can be useful when working with external libraries or dependencies that are not type checked. The ES module interlope allows the compiler to import ES modules like the files like .mjs, and we can use them in our code. And these are basically essential for compatibilities for wide variety of browsers. Allows synthetic default imports is way to import default export from ES modules without explicitly specifying the export name. Strict true will enable the strict mode for the compiler. Force consistent casting in file names forces the consistent casing in file names so that all files are named with camel case or Pascal case. No fall through cases in switch basically doesn't allow to add any fall through cases in switch statement that we write in our code, right? So these are basically all for enforcing the good coding practices when it converts the TypeScript code to JavaScript code. Module to be ESNext. That means the generated JavaScript files will use ESNext features like import and exports. Module resolution to be node. This option specify how the compiler resolves the .mjs file that we have created over there. Resolve JSON module will allow us to process the JSON files. Isolated modules can help us improve performance and reduce conflicts between modules. No emit true prevents the compiler from emitting JavaScript files from TypeScript. Instead, it only generates .d.ts if requested. So basically, we will be creating a separate TypeScript file when we are going to build our code to like before publishing, right? So that we also have type safety for our user. And this JSX basically means that we are supposed to use React JSX as our convention while generating these files while compiling the React components. And then outside that, I'm gonna say include, and this will include the folder that we're supposed to take to generate all of these files. So this is the src folder, right? So I'll say include src. Yeah, that's all. So now all of these options will basically help us to efficiently generate the JavaScript files from the TypeScript files, and also the types that are being used in our project over here. If I show you all of these types that I'm using over here, they will be used for type safety of the user. Okay, so now we've done all of these things, but how do we go on and bundle all of these things and generate the final output? We would use something like Webpack, or we can use some modern stuff like Rollup, right? So that's exactly what we're going to be using. Rollup makes it much more easier for us to compile our code into bundles for different environments. If you're someone who's preparing for front-end interviews, you can definitely go and check out my front-end interview preparation course. This is the only thing that you will ever need to prepare for your front-end interviews. And not only this, I've covered every single topic of React.js, like React Router DOM, Redux, all of the hooks, class-based component, function-based component React, even the performance optimization, which is asked from senior developers a lot, tons of machine coding questions as well, and obviously in-depth interview preparation course on JavaScript as well. So all of this you get in one single course. So click the link in the description down below, because right now we're having the biggest sale of the year for a very limited time. So don't forget to check it out. Or you can also scan this QR code on your screen to go directly to the course page. So to simply install Rollup, I'm going to say npm install Rollup. And apart from this, we're going to be needing a few more things like Rollup/plugin node resolve, which will basically used to resolve dependencies in your code that are specified using Node.js style required statement. Plugin CommonJS. This will help us to use, CommonJS libraries. Plugin TypeScript, again, will help us to transpile TypeScript, to basically bundle TypeScript. Rollup plugin peer dependencies external. These will help us to manage our dependencies. Let's say, for example, in this project, I'm using UUID, right? UUID could be dependent on some other dependency, some external dependency as well. So it's going to check if it's actually dependent on it. If it's direct dependencies, only then it will include it, else it will not include that. Plugin -Terser is going to help us to minify our JavaScript. Plugin -TTS will generate the types for our TypeScript, right? So make sure that you accurately install them. And actually, I'll just provide the link to a separate blog in the description down below as well. So yeah, and we're going to be saving these as dev dependencies, and press enter. And also I forgot to install, UUID and React icons that I'm using in this project. Oops, it will be React installed, UUID and React icons. Okay. So make sure you've installed all of these external dependencies that you are using inside of your React project. All right, so we are set up. Let's write the configuration for our rollup, right? So I'll create a new file, rollup.config.js. And now inside of this, I'll say export default, and this will be an array. And inside this, it will take a bunch of options, like can take multiple objects as well, right? So first of all, I'll write the object for generating our JavaScript files, and then I'll write the object for generating our TypeScript types. So first thing that we'll take is an input, which file will give us this input, right? So let's say input will be src/index.ts, right? And then I'll have the output. Actually, output will be an array as well. And inside this, I'm gonna give the file. What is going to be the file that I'll be generating? So basically, inside of our build folder, I'm gonna be generating two types of JavaScript files. So one is going to be CJS, and other is going to be ESM, or .mjs type of file. So CJS will be CommonJS file, and this format is suitable for Node.js environment where modules needs to be loaded using require. Not just import from. It will need require to load them. And ESM is more suitable for modern environment, like for example Next.js, where we will import them using import, use notification from, etc. Right? Something like that. So instead of just writing the path over here directly, I'll go to package.json, and here instead of this main, I'll just say dist/index.js. Then I'll have another line which will say module. This will be for our modern, as I mentioned, mjs.mjs. And then we will have a types as well. So types, and this will be dist index.ts, or .d.ts. This is the format that we're supposed to write it in. Okay. So what I'll do, I'll first import my package.json file. So const package.json equals require./package.json, and over here package.json.main. Below this, I'll say format is CJS, and source map to be true. So basically, this source map is going to be an additional file that it will be generating apart from this, which will contain all of our original code in a minified form, so that we can, if we want to debug it later on, we can do that. I'm going to copy and paste it right below this, and this will be for our ESM, and it will say, instead of main, it will say module and source map to be true. Okay. Below this, we're going to be importing all of our plugins. So below this array right here, so plugin or plugins, it will be an array, and we will import all of the plugins that we have just installed. So peer deps external, let's import this. Okay, it's not importing. Import peer deps external from rollup plugin peer deps external. Right, let's just import all of these real quick first. So yep, I've imported all of them, and now what we can do, we can just go on and export, like add them one by one in our plugins. Resolve common.js. We don't need to do anything with these. This will be taken care of behind the scenes. Typescript. Now over here, what we need to do, we need to provide the configuration where the configuration is related for the tsconfig. So tsconfig colon, and this is located in tsconfig.json. Right, this is where it is located. Okay, and below this, I'll import Tazorpay over here as well, which I already explained is plugin to generate minified output bundle. All right, after this, I'm gonna say external. This will contain React and React DOM. Right, both of these files that are responsible for running our app. Okay, again, we're gonna have to generate the TypeScript types, right? So I'll say input again, and this input will have the same thing, src index.ts. Below this, I will have the output array, but this time it will just have file to be package.json.types that we defined in the package.json, right? And the plugins, inside the plugins, I'll have that DTS plugin that we installed. So yeah, this DTS, Rollup plugin DTS dot default. That's all. And I think this should do it. Let's go on and add a script inside of package.json so that we can go on and build this. So right here, I'll say build, or let's say rollup. That will make much more sense. Rollup -c bundle config ascjs. Now what have I done over here? Why have I added both of these flags? So -c tells rollup to use a configuration file, which we have created right over here, rollup.config.js. And the bundle config ascjs forces rollup to output the common.js files instead of the .mjs file. Okay, so let's just go on and use this and run this. So I'll say npm run rollup. Let's see what do we get. So okay, it encountered some error, and it encountered the error in the CSS files because we forgot to take care of the CSS files, right? We also need to compile CSS files and bundle them along with our folder. So to take care of this, I'll have to install one more dependency, which will be npm install rollup-plugin-post CSS. There we go, it is installed, and now we can go inside the rollup.config.js, and inside of the plugins, I'll say post CSS. Let's just import it first. So import post CSS from post CSS, yeah, rollup-plugin post CSS. Okay, let's call it over here. Inside the TypeScript, I'll say what files are the types of CSS files. So I'll say external, and inside of an array, I'll add an expression for .css. CSS. And yeah, I think this should be good enough to process CSS files as well. Let's try to run this again. npm run rollup. I think I made some mistake. Yeah, let's try to run this again. And okay, we get another error over here. What is it? Use notification.tsx has an any type. Let's see. Okay, yeah. So we're supposed to add the types/react package over here as well, right? Because we haven't provided, we're using TypeScript with React, right? So we haven't installed the types for React. So I'll say npm install at types/react, and hopefully we don't have to do anything else now. So let's try to run this again. Okay, let's see what else do we get. Types/uuid. Okay, we're supposed to install this as well. Sorry, not this. So you see, it's just gonna tell you errors if there's any dependency missing of for types and all, right? So let's see, let's run this again. And yeah, this time it successfully ran, and we must have gotten all of these files in our build folder. You see, it has generated for all the types, file.d.ts for our types, index.js, this will be our main file in a minified format. You can see this has created a map file which contains our original code in compressed format. .mjs file for our modern ES6 plus environments, and the map file for a file for that as well. Now great, let's go on and host this on npm. So what I'll do, I'll just say npm login over here, and yeah, it's given me this link. Let's click on this, open this on the browser, and you can quickly go on and sign up with your account over here. So let me just do that real quick. There we go. Let's go to the home page, and this will look something like this. You don't need to worry about anything over here. Let's go back to our VS Code terminal, and now we're going to simply say npm publish. Press enter. You're going to see it will automatically publish your library with respect to what you've provided over here, and we're done already. It's published on yt-tutorial example. So let's go back and see. Let's refresh this page, and I think I'll go to my profile and packages. You can see we have this YT tutorial example right here. Amazing. And this React Toast pop-up that I've earlier created. So this is the package that we have created just now with version 0.0.1. And again, you can add a readme file over here as well. So you can just right click over here, readme.md, and you can add the readme for that, so that you can, make it looks much better over here. Let me just show you the original file that I've created. So this is the one. So I've added readme over here. You can see it, and pretty much everything else is just the same. So anyways, let's go on over here and test out our library. I'll just copy this up, and I'll go to -toast component. So cd toast component, and I'll say npm install YT tutorial example, and our library has installed. Let's go to the app.jsx, and instead of this, I'll import it from YT tutorial example, and you're gonna see this will give us the types recommendation as well, like whatever the options are over here. This gives us both of these things, and inside of this as well, we get the suggestions as well. And also, if you're interested, you can contribute to this React Toast pop-up library over here. I would love to accept your PRs, and let's make this library even better.